Hello, friends. Today, or for the next couple days, we're going to start and finish Proverbs. So, let's get started. To know wisdom. The Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, who reigned in Israel, to know wisdom and instruction, and to understand words of discernment, to receive both subtlety of words, and to understand true righteousness and upright judgment, so as to give astuteness to the simple, and both perception and understanding to a young man. For a wise man who hears these things will be wiser, and the man of understanding will gain direction. Wisdom begets the fear of God. He will understand both a parable and a hidden saying, both wise words and riddles. The fear of God is the beginning of wisdom, and there is good understanding in all who practice it. And godliness toward God is the beginning of perception. But the ungodly despise wisdom and instruction. Hear, my son, the instruction of your father, and do not reject the laws of your mother. For you will receive a crown of grace on your head, and a gold chain around your neck. My son, do not let the ungodly lead you astray, and do not consent if they invite you, saying, Come with us, take part in bloodshed, and let us hide a righteous man in the earth unjustly. And let us swallow him, just as Hades does the living, and let us take away his remembrance from the earth. Let us seize his valuable property, and let us fill our houses with spoils. Cast your lot with us, and let us acquire a common bag. Let there be one purse for us. Do not walk in the way with them, but turn away your foot from their paths, for their feet run to evil, and they make haste to shed blood. For nets are not spread before birds for no reason. For those who participate in murder store up evils for themselves, and evil is the destruction of lawless men. These are the ways of all who accomplish lawless things, for they take away their own soul in ungodliness. Wisdom sings in the streets. Wisdom speaks out. Wisdom sings in the streets. She moves boldly in the squares. She preaches on high city walls and sits at the gates of lords. At the gates of a city she boldly says, So long a time as the simple hold fast to righteousness, they shall not be ashamed. But those without discernment, since they are desirous of arrogance and are become ungodly, they hate perception, and are become subject to reproofs. Behold, I shall bring forth upon you the utterance of my breath, and I shall teach you my word. Since I called, but you did not obey, and spoke at length, but you paid no attention, but made my counsels invalid, and were not persuaded by my reproofs. Consequently, I will laugh at your annihilation, and will exult when ruin comes to you, and when confession or confusion reaches you unawares, and overthrow comes like a whirlwind, and when tribulation and anguish come to you, and when destruction comes to you, for it shall be, when you shall call upon me, I will not listen to you. Evil men will seek me, but not find me, for they hate wisdom, and choose not the fear of the Lord. Neither do they wish to follow my counsels, but despise my reproofs. Therefore, they shall eat the fruits of their own way, and be filled with their own ungodliness. For since they wrong the simple, they shall be killed, and a close examination shall destroy the ungodly. But he who obeys me shall dwell in hope, and shall be at rest without fear from every evil. It is wise to obey. My son, if you receive the words of my commandment and hide them within yourself, your ear will be obedient to wisdom, and you will incline your heart to understanding. You will entrust it to your son as an admonition. For if he calls upon wisdom and you utter your voice for understanding, if you seek perception with a strong voice, if you seek her as silver and search for her as treasure, then you will understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God. For the Lord gives wisdom, and from his face come knowledge and understanding. And he stores up salvation for the upright. He will protect their journey, that he might guard the ways of his ordinances, and he will carefully guard the way of those who reverence him. Then you will understand righteousness and judgment, and accomplish successfully every good path for yourself. Holy thinking. For if wisdom comes into your mind, and the perception in your soul seems to be good, then good counsel will guard you, and holy thinking will keep you, that it might rescue you from an evil way and from a man who speaks nothing trustworthy. Woe to those who forsake the paths of uprightness, so they may walk in the ways of darkness, who delight in evils and rejoice in evil perversion, whose ways are crooked and their paths devious, so they may cause you to be far from the straight way, and a stranger to righteous judgment. My son, do not lay hold of evil counsel, nor forsake the teaching of your youth and forget the divine covenant, for it establishes its house with death, and its paths beside Hades with the dead. All who journey there do not return, nor do they lay hold of straight paths, for they do not comprehend the years of life. For if they walked in good paths, they would find the smooth paths of righteousness. The inhabitants of the land will be good, and the simple will be left in it. For the upright will dwell in the land, and the holy will be left in it. The ways of the ungodly shall perish from the land, and the lawless shall be banished from it. 3. The laws of wisdom. My son, do not forget my laws, but let your heart keep my words. For length of days and years of life and peace they will add to you. Do not let almsgiving and faithfulness forsake you, but hang them upon your neck, and you will find grace and provide good things before the Lord and men. Trust in God with all your heart, and do not exalt your own wisdom. In all your ways know wisdom, that she may cut a straight path for you, and your foot will not stumble. Do not rely on your own discernment, but fear God and turn away from every evil. Then there shall be healing for your body and care for your bones. Honor the Lord from your righteous labors, and offer him the first fruits from the fruits of your righteousness, that your storehouses may be filled with abundance of grain, and your winepresses may gush with wine. The instruction of wisdom. My son, do not despise the instruction of the Lord, neither grow weary under his reproof. For whom the Lord loves he instructs, and chastises every son he receives. Blessed is a man who finds wisdom, and a mortal who sees discernment, for the profits gained from wisdom are better than the treasures of gold and silver, and wisdom is more valuable than precious stones, and nothing evil will withstand her. She is well known to all who come near her, and no honor is worthy of her. For length of days and years of life are in her right hand, and in her left hand are riches and glory. Righteousness proceeds from her mouth, and she carries law and mercy upon her tongue. Her ways are good ways, and all her paths are in peace. She is a tree of life for all who cleave to her, and she is security for those who lean upon her as upon the Lord. God by wisdom founded the earth, and prepared the heavens with discernment. With perception the depths were broken up, and the clouds flowed with dew. The cure for carelessness. Angie, God bless you, my friend. The cure for carelessness. My son, do not be careless, but keep my counsel and thinking, that your soul may live, and grace may be around your neck. And there will be healing for your flesh and care for your bones, that you may walk confidently in peace in all your ways, and your foot may not stumble. For if you sit down, you will be without fear, and if you lie down, your sleep will be pleasant. And do not be afraid of intimidation when it comes upon you, nor of the attack of the ungodly when it comes at you. For the Lord will be over all your ways, and he will plant your feet firmly, that you may not be shaken. Do not withhold doing good to the needy. When you may give a helping hand, do not say, when you are able to do good, come back tomorrow, and I will give you something. For you do not know what the next day will bring forth. Do not devise evil things against your friend who dwells beside you and trusts in you. Do not be ready to quarrel with a man in vain, lest he do you some harm. Do not incur the reproach of evil men, neither seek their ways. For every lawless man is unclean before the Lord, and he does not sit among the righteous. The curse of God is in the houses of the ungodly, but he blesses the dwellings of the righteous. The Lord opposes the arrogant, but he gives grace to the humble. The wise shall inherit glory, but the ungodly exalt dishonor. 4. Obedient thinking. Hear, my children, the instruction of your father, and pay attention that you might know his thinking. For I offer a good gift to you. Do not forsake my law, for I was a son, and I was obedient to my father, and beloved in the presence of my mother, who taught me, saying, let our word become firmly planted in your heart. Guard our commandments, do not forget them, neither disregard the word of my mouth, nor forsake it, and it shall cleave to you. Love it, and it will keep you. Secure it, and it shall exalt you. Honor it, that it may embrace you, and give your head a crown of graces, and cover you with a crown of delight. The paths of wisdom. Hear me, my son, and receive my words. And the years of your life shall be increased, that many ways of life may be yours. For I teach you the ways of wisdom, and I set you on upright paths. For if you walk, your steps shall not be confined, and if you run, you will not grow weary. Lay hold of my instruction, do not let go, but guard it for yourself as your life. Do not go in the ways of the ungodly, neither be zealous for the ways of the lawless. In whatever place they encamp, do not go there, but turn aside from them and pass by. For they cannot sleep unless they do evil. Their sleep is taken away, and they do not rest, for they feed on the bread of ungodliness, and they are drunk with the wine of lawlessness. But the ways of the righteous shine like a light. They go before and give light until full daylight. But the ways of the ungodly are dark. They do not know how they stumble. The wise heart. My son, give heed to my word, and incline your ears to my words, that your fountains may not fail you. Guard them in your heart, for they are life to those who find them, and healing for all their flesh. Keep your heart with all watchfulness, for from these words are the issues of life. Put away from yourself a crooked mouth, and remove unrighteous lips far from you. Let your eyes look straight forward, and let your eyelids assent to righteous things. Make straight paths for your feet, and direct your ways aright. Do not turn aside to the right or to the left, but turn your foot from an evil way. For God knows the ways on the right hand, but those on the left are perverse, and he shall make your path straight and guide your steps in peace. 5. Fornication or marriage. My son, hold fast to wisdom and incline your ear to my words, that you may guard good thinking. And I command you with the perception of my lips, do not join yourself to a base woman, for honey drips from the lips of a prostitute. Or for a season she is pleasing to your taste. Afterward, however, you will find her more bitter than gall, and sharper than a two-edged sword. For feet lacking discernment lead those using her down into Hades with death. Her footsteps are not planted, for she does not travel the ways of life, and her paths are slippery and not easy to discern. The perils of sex outside of marriage. Now, therefore, my son, hear me and do not make my words invalid. Make your way distant from her, and do not come near the doors of her house, that you may not give away your life to others and your existence to the merciless, that strangers may not be filled with your strength, and your labors go into the house of strangers, and you shall feel regret at the last, when the flesh of your body is consumed, and you will say, how I hated instruction, and turned my heart away from reproofs. I did not hear the voice of my instructor and teacher, nor did I incline my ear. Little by little I was in every evil, in the midst of the church and congregation. The sanctity of marriage. Drink waters from your vessels, and from the fountains of your springs. Do not let the waters from your fountain be spilled by you, but let your waters pass through your wide places. Let them be only for you, and let no stranger partake with you. Let the fountain of your water be for you alone, and rejoice together with the wife of your youth. Let your loving deer and graceful colt keep company with you, and let her alone go before you and be with you at all times, for in living with her love you will be great. For in living with her love, you will be great. Another warning. Do not be intimate with a strange woman, neither cling to the embrace of a woman not your own. For the ways of men are before the eyes of God, and he keeps close watch on all his paths. Lawless women ensnare a man, but each man is bound by the chains of his own sins. Such a man dies with the uninstructed, and is cast forth from the abundance of his own substance, and he is destroyed by lack of discernment. 6. A careless tongue. My son, if you assume the debt of your friend, you will deliver your hand to an enemy. For a man's own lips become a strong snare to him, and he is conquered by the utterances of his own mouth. My son, do what I command you, and you will save yourself from you, for you came into the hands of evil things through your friend. Do not be faint, but provoke even your friend, for whom you assumed a debt. Do not give sleep to your eyes, nor slumber to your eyelids, that you may be saved as a gazelle from the snares, and as a bird from a trap. Laziness, a dead-end road. Compare yourself with the ant, O sluggard, and be zealous when you see his ways, and become wiser than he. For although he has no tilled land, neither anyone to compel him, nor any master to rule him, yet he prepares all his food in the summer, and makes his provisions abundant in the winter. Or go to the honeybee, and learn how she is a worker, and how solemnly she does her work, whose labors kings and common people use for health, and she is desirable to all and glorious. And although she is weak in bodily strength, she leads the way in honoring wisdom. How long, O sluggard, will you be idle? And when will you arise from sleep? You sleep a little, you sit down a little, you doze a short while, and you fold your hands on your chest a little. Then poverty comes to you as an evil traveler, and neediness as a swift runner. But if you are diligent, your harvest shall come to you as a fountain, and neediness as an evil runner shall desert you. A lawless spirit. A man who is without discernment and is lawless does not walk in good ways, but he winks with an eye, he makes a sign with his foot, and teaches with the wave of his hand. And with a perverse heart he constantly schemes evil things. Such a man causes trouble in a city, therefore his destruction comes suddenly. A deep and incurable wound, for he rejoices in everything the Lord hates, and he shall be broken because of his soul's uncleanness. A haughty eye, an unrighteous tongue, hands that shed righteous blood, a heart that devises evil thoughts, and feet that hasten to do evil. As a false witness he kindles injustice and causes quarrels between brethren. My son, guard the laws of your father, and do not depart from the rules of your mother, but fasten them to your soul continually, and wear them as a collar upon your neck. Playing with fire. When you walk about, bring along this commandment, and let it be with you, and as you sleep, let it guard you, that when you arise it may speak to you. For a commandment of law is a lamp and a light, and the way of life is a reproof and instruction, that you may keep yourself from a married woman, and from the slanderous tongue of a strange woman. Do not let the desire of beauty conquer you, neither be caught by her eyes, nor captivated by her eyelids. For the value of a prostitute is only one loaf, and such a woman hunts for the precious souls of men. Shall anyone bind fire to his bosom, and his garment not burn? Or will anyone walk about on coals of fire and not burn his feet? Likewise is the one who goes in to a married woman. He shall not be guiltless, nor any who touch her. It is not surprising if anyone who steals is caught. For he steals that he may fill his hungry soul, but if he is caught, he will repay sevenfold, and by giving all his goods, he shall deliver himself. But the adulterer, through his lack of discernment, obtains the destruction of his soul. He bears both pain and dishonor, and his disgrace will not be wiped away forever. For the anger of her husband is full of jealousy. He will not spare in the day of judgment. He will not take any ransom in exchange for his hatred, nor will he be reconciled by many gifts. 7. A son with discernment. My son, guard my words and hide my commandments within yourself. My son, honor the Lord, and you shall be strong, and fear none other but him. Guard my commandments, and you will live, and my words as the pupils of your eyes, and put them around your fingers, and write them upon the breadth of your heart. Say that wisdom is your sister, and gain discernment as a friend for yourself, so they may keep you from a strange and evil woman, if she comes at you with flattering words. A son without discernment. For she looks from a window of her house into the streets, upon whom she might see among the undiscerning children a young man lacking discernment, passing by near the corner on the pathways of her house, and she speaks in the darkness at evening. When there is silence on a dark night, and the woman meets him, having the appearance of a prostitute, she makes the heart of a young man throb. She is excited and debauched, and her feet do not rest at home. For at times she is outside roaming about, and another time she is in the streets, nor near every corner laying a trap. Then laying a hold of him, she kisses him, and with a shameless face she says to him, I have a peace offering. Today I pay my vows. For this reason I came out to meet you. Longing for your face, I found you. I spread my bed with sheets and covered it with tapestry from Egypt. I sprinkled my bed with saffron and my house with cinnamon. Come, and let us enjoy love until morning. Come, and let us embrace in love. For my husband is not at home, but is gone on a long journey. Taking a bag of money in his hand, he will return to his house after many days. So she leads him astray with much conversation, and with snares from her lips she compels him. And being cajoled, he follows her as an ox is led for slaughter, and as a dog to bonds, or as a deer struck with an arrow in the liver. And he hastens, even as a bird, into a snare, not knowing he runs for his life. Now therefore, my son, hear me, and hold fast to the words of my mouth. Do not let your heart turn aside to her ways. For she wounded and cast down many, and those whom she slew are innumerable. Her house is the road to Hades, leading down to the chambers of death. 8. Divine wisdom for mankind. You shall proclaim wisdom, that discernment may obey you. For she is on the lofty summit and stands in the midst of the paths. For she sits beside the gates of princes and sings at the entrances. You, O men, I exhort, and I utter my voice to the sons of men. Understand astuteness, O simple ones, and put it in your heart, O instructed ones. Obey me, for I speak sacred things, and from my lips I will bring forth things that are true. Obey me, for I speak sacred things, and from my lips I will bring forth things that are true, and for my mouth shall speak the truth. But false lips are an abomination before me. All the words of my mouth are with righteousness. There is nothing in them crooked or twisted. All things are evident to those who understand, and true to those who find knowledge. Lay hold of instruction, and not silver, and knowledge rather than tested gold, and choose perception rather than pure gold. For wisdom is better than precious stones, and every costly thing is not worthy of her. I, wisdom, dwell with counsel, and I call upon knowledge and understanding. The fear of the Lord hates unrighteousness, and both rudeness and arrogance, and the ways of wicked men, and I hate the perverted ways of evil men. Counsel and safety are mine. Discernment is mine, and strength is mine. By me kings reign. By me kings reign. And princes right of righteousness. By me noblemen become great, and by me monarchs have power in the land. I love those who love me, and those who seek me shall find me. Riches and glory belong to me, and abundant possessions and righteousness. It is better to enjoy my fruits than gold and precious stones, and my fruits are better than choice silver. I walk in the ways of righteousness, and I am conversant with the paths of judgment, that I may distribute substance to those who love me, and may fill their treasuries with good things. Divine wisdom and the Father. No, God bless you, Alexandra. If I declare to you the things that happen daily, I will also remember to recount the things of old. The Lord created me in the beginning. Of his ways, for his works. He established me in the beginning before time, before he made the earth and before he made the abysses, before the going forth of the fountains of waters, before the mountains were created, and he begot me before all hills. The Lord made the fields and the uninhabited places, and the inhabited heights under heaven. When he prepared heaven, I was present with him, and when he set apart his throne upon the winds, when he made strong the things above the clouds, and made sure the fountains under heaven, and made strong the foundations of the earth, I was working beside him. I was he in whom he rejoiced. I was he in whom he rejoiced. That must be a shout out to Christ. Daily and continually I was gladdened by his face. When he completed the world, he rejoiced. And he rejoiced in the sons of men. And therefore, my son, hear me. Blessed is the man who shall hearken to me, and the man who shall guard my ways. Who watches daily at my doors, who keeps watch at the doors of my entryways. For my issues are the issues of life, and grace is prepared from the Lord. By those who sin against me act ungodly toward their own souls, and those who hate me love death. 9. Wisdom's invitation. Wisdom built her house, and she supported it with 7 pillars. She offered her sacrifices, she mixed her wine in a bowl, and prepared her table. She sent her servants, inviting people to the bowl with a lofty proclamation, saying, "He who is without discernment, let him turn aside to me." And to those in need of discernment she says, "Come eat my bread, and drink the wine I mixed for you. Forsake lack of discernment, and you shall live. Seek discernment, so you may live, and keep straight your understanding with knowledge. Wisdom, let us attend. He who chastises evil men shall receive dishonor to himself, and he who reproves the ungodly man shall be blamed himself. Do not reprove evil men, so they may not hate you. Reprove a wise man, and he will love you. Give the opportunity to a wise man, and he will be wiser. Instruct a righteous man, and he shall continue to receive it. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the counsel of saints is understanding. For to know the law is characteristic of a good mind. For in this manner you will live a long time, and the years of your life shall be increased. My son, if you become wise in yourself, you shall also be wise toward your neighbor. But if you prove to be evil, you alone will go through troubles. He who supports himself with lies will shepherd winds and chase flying birds, for he abandoned the ways of his own vineyard and strayed from paths of his own farming. And he will pass through a waterless desert, a land assigned to drought, and he gathers barrenness with his hands. A woman in need of a morsel is without discernment and overbold. She has no sense of shame. She sits upon the doors of her own house, upon a seat openly in the streets, calling to those who pass by and who go straight along their paths. He who is very lacking in discernment, let him turn aside to me. And he who is in need of discernment, I exhort, saying, grasp with pleasure the secret bread in the sweet water of theft. But he does not know that the inhabitants of the earth perish beside her, and he happens upon a snare of Hades. But hurry off, do not continue in that place, neither set your eye toward her, for so you shall pass through strange water, and cross beyond a strange river, and keep away from strange water, and do not drink from a strange fountain, that you may live a long time, and add years of life to yourself. 10. The wisdom of Solomon. A wise son makes his father glad, but a son without discernment is a grief to his mother. Treasures do not benefit lawless men, but righteousness delivers from death. The Lord will not let the soul of the righteous man starve, but he overthrows the life of the ungodly. Poverty humbles a man, but the hands of courageous men enrich others. A son who is instructed will be wise, and he will use a man without discernment as a servant. A son with understanding is kept safe from the heat, but a lawless son is blasted by the wind at harvest time. The blessing of the Lord is upon the head of a righteous man, but untimely grief will cover the mouth of the ungodly. The remembrance of the righteous is with eulogies, but the name of an ungodly man is extinguished. The wise man in heart will receive the commandments, but the man unguarded in speech will be overthrown in his perverseness. He who walks in sincerity walks confidently, but he who perverts his ways will be known. He who winks his eyes deceitfully gathers grief for men, but he who reproves boldly is a peacemaker. A fountain of life is in the hand of a righteous man, but the mouth of an ungodly man will hide destruction. Hatred stirs up strife, but love covers all who are not lovers of strife. He who brings forth wisdom from his lips beats a heartless man with a rod. The wise will hide perception, but the mouth of a rash man approaches destruction. The acquisition of riches is a fortified city, but poverty is the destruction of the ungodly. The works of the righteous produce life, but the fruits of the ungodly produce sins. Instruction guards righteous ways of life, but instruction incapable of criticism goes astray. Righteous lips cover hatred, but those who bring forth abuse are very lacking in discernment. You will not escape sin by a multitude of words, but you of discreet lips will be forbearing. The tongue of a righteous man is silver tried in the fire, but the heart of an ungodly man shall fail. The lips of righteous men understand lofty things, but men without discernment die in want. The blessing of the Lord is upon the head of a righteous man. It enriches him, and grief of heart will not be added to it. A man without discernment does evil things with laughter, but wisdom gives birth to discernment in a man. The ungodly man is carried about in destruction, but the desire of the righteous man is acceptable. The ungodly man is destroyed by the passing storm, but the righteous man turns aside and shall be saved forever. As an unripe grape is harmful to the teeth and smoke to the eyes, so is a lawless woman to the men who use her. The fear of the Lord increases days, but the years of the ungodly will be shortened. Gladness continues for the righteous, but the hope of the ungodly perishes. The fear of the Lord is the stronghold of a holy man, but destruction is for those who work evil. A righteous man will never fail, but the ungodly shall not inhabit the earth. The mouth of a righteous man distills wisdom, but the tongue of an unrighteous man utterly destroys. The lips of righteous men distill grace, but the mouth of the ungodly is perverse. 11. The fruits of righteousness. Deceitful scales are an abomination before the Lord, but a righteous weight is acceptable to him. Wherever arrogance enters, there also is dishonor, but the mouth of the humble meditates on wisdom. When a righteous man dies, he leaves regret, but the destruction of the ungodly is immediate and brings joy. Righteousness cuts straight and blameless paths, but ungodliness embraces wrongdoing. The righteousness of upright men delivers them, but lawless men are taken to their destruction. When a righteous man dies, his hope does not perish, but the boast of the ungodly perishes. A righteous man escapes from a snare, but the ungodly man is handed over in his place. There is a snare for citizens in the mouth of the ungodly, but the perception of the righteous is prosperous. A city stays upright in the good things of the righteous, but it is razed to the ground by the mouths of the ungodly. A man in need of discernment treats citizens with contempt, but a man of discernment keeps quiet. A double-tongued man reveals deliberations heard in council, but a man faithful in spirit conceals matters. Those for whom there is no leadership fall like leaves, but there is salvation in much counsel. A wicked man does evil wherever he meets a righteous man, and he hates the sound of stability. A thankful woman raises up glory to her husband, but a throne of dishonor is a woman who hates righteousness. Lazy men are in need of wealth, but courageous men support themselves with wealth. A merciful man does good for his soul, to his soul, but an unmerciful man utterly destroys his body. An ungodly man does unrighteous works, but the seed of the righteous is a reward of truth. A righteous son is begotten unto life, but the persecution of an ungodly man is unto death. Perverse ways are an abomination to the Lord, but all who are blameless in their ways are acceptable to him. He who joins hands with the unrighteous will not go unpunished, but he who sows righteousness will receive a faithful reward. Like a ring in the nose of a wild swine, so is beauty to an evil-minded woman. Every desire of the righteous is good, but the hope of the ungodly is destruction. There are those who sow their own things and produce more things, and there are those who gather but have less. Every sincere soul is blessed, but an angry man is not graceful. May the one who hoards grain leave it to the nations, but may blessing be upon the head of the one who shares it. He who plans good things seeks good grace, but he who seeks evil, it will capture him. He who trusts in riches, this man will fall, but he who helps the righteous, this man will rise. He who does not deal graciously with his own house will inherit the wind, and a man without discernment will be servant to one with discernment. A tree of life springs up from the fruit of righteousness, but the souls of the lawless will be taken away before their time. If the righteous man is scarcely saved, then where shall an ungodly man and a sinner appear? The riches of righteousness. He who loves instruction loves perception, but he who hates correction is without discernment. He who finds grace from the Lord becomes better, but a lawless man will be passed over in silence. A man will not prosper by lawlessness, but the roots of righteous men will not be pulled out. A courageous wife is a crown to her husband. But as a worm in a tree, so an evil-doing wife destroys her husband. The thoughts of the righteous are judgments, but the ungodly devise deceits. The words of the ungodly are deceitful, but the mouth of the upright shall deliver them. If he does not turn, an ungodly man is destroyed, but the houses of the righteous remain. The mouth of a man of understanding is praised by a man, but the slothful of heart are treated with contempt. It is better for a man in dishonor to serve himself than for him to surround himself with honor while in need of bread. A righteous man has compassion on the lives of his cattle, but the affections of the ungodly are without mercy. He who works his own land will be satisfied with bread, but those who pursue vain things are in need of discernment. He who is gladdened by wines in passing his time shall leave dishonor in his own strongholds. The desires of the ungodly are evil, but the roots of the godly are in strongholds. By the sin of his lips a sinner falls into traps. But a righteous man escapes from them. He whose looks are gentle will show mercy, but he who contends in the gates will afflict souls. By the fruits of his mouth the soul of a man will be filled with good things, and the recompense of his lips will be given to him. The ways of undiscerning men are right in their own eyes, but a wise man hearkens to counsels. Are right in their own eyes, but a wise man hearkens to counsels. A man without discernment immediately proclaims his wrath, but an astute man hides his own dishonor. A righteous man declares his honesty openly, but the witness of the unrighteous is deceitful. There are those who wound with a sword as they speak, but the tongues of the wise heal. Truthful lips establish a testimony, but a hasty witness has an unrighteous tongue. There is deceit in the heart of a man who devises evil things, but those who counsel peace shall be glad. Nothing unrighteous will ever be pleasing to the righteous, but the ungodly will be filled with evil things. Lying lips are an abomination to the Lord. But he who shows faithfulness is acceptable to him. A man of understanding is a throne of perception, but the heart of the undiscerning will meet with curses. The hand of the chosen shall prevail easily, but the deceitful shall be for captivity. A fearful word troubles the heart of a righteous man, but a good message makes him glad. A righteous arbiter shall be his own friend, but the decisions of the ungodly are unreasonable. Evil things shall pursue sinners, and the way of the ungodly will lead them astray. A deceitful man will not gain his prey, but a pure man is a precious possession. In the ways of righteousness there is life, but the ways of remembering wrongs are unto death. 13. I think we're going to call it there, friends.